James. James, please wait. Sarah's voice cracked as she ran barefoot through the rain, her clothes soaked, her heart pounding. But James never turned back. He stepped into his luxury car, the same man she had once loved, sacrificed for, and built dreams with. Now, he looked at her like a stranger, no, worse, like she was nothing. And then, without hesitation, he slammed the door and drove off, leaving her standing in the middle of the road, drenched and broken. But Sarah never imagined that years later, fate would bring them back together, in a way neither of them saw coming. And this time, she wouldn't be the one begging. Years earlier, Sarah was just 19 when she met James. He was a struggling young man from the slums, with big dreams but no means to achieve them. He worked as a roadside mechanic, barely making enough to eat twice a day. But Sarah saw beyond the grease-stained clothes and calloused hands. She saw his ambition, his intelligence, and his drive. Everyone told her she was crazy. "You are a beautiful girl, Sarah. Why are you wasting your time with a man who can't even afford pure water?" her best friend Grace would often say. But Sarah didn't care. She believed in him. When James couldn't afford rent, Sarah used her little savings from her hairdressing business to pay for it. When he fell sick, she nursed him back to health. When he had no clothes decent enough for job interviews, she bought him some. "One day, I'll be rich, Sarah," James would say as they sat on the rooftop of his tiny apartment, staring at the stars. "I'll take you out of this life. We will live in a mansion, drive big cars, and travel the world." Sarah would smile, leaning her head on his shoulder. "I don't care about riches, James. As long as we have each other, I'm happy." And she meant it. For 6 years, Sarah stood by him through thick and thin. She worked extra hours, denied herself luxuries, and even gave up the opportunity to study abroad, just to support James' dream of becoming successful. And then it happened. James got a once-in-a-lifetime business opportunity. A wealthy businessman, Mr. Benson, saw potential in him and invested in his startup. Within a year, James' business exploded. He became a multi-millionaire overnight. Sarah was overjoyed. Finally, all his hard work has paid off. But she never expected that she would be the one thing he would leave behind. At first, the change was subtle. James started getting busier. He didn't return her calls as often. The late-night conversations turned into brief texts. The dinner dates became excuses. "Sorry, babe, I have a business meeting. I'm out of town for the weekend. We'll talk later." Sarah understood, at least she tried to. Success came with responsibilities, right? But then, James stopped coming home altogether. Weeks passed, and Sarah barely saw him. One evening, she decided to surprise him at his office. She wore the red dress he always loved, styled her hair perfectly, and prepared his favorite meal. But when she arrived, she saw something that shattered her heart. James was laughing in his office with a stunning woman, tall, light-skinned, and draped in expensive designer clothes. Their body language spoke volumes. Sarah felt her knees go weak. "James?" Her voice trembled as she stepped in. James' smile faded instantly. He looked at her as if she was an intruder. "Sarah? What are you doing here?" "I came to see you, to bring you dinner," she said softly, lifting the food container in her hands. The woman beside him smirked and whispered something in James' ear. He chuckled. "Look, Sarah, you shouldn't just come to my office unannounced." "I'm busy," he said coldly. Sarah swallowed the lump in her throat. "James, what's going on? You've changed." "Sarah, let's be realistic. You and we come from different worlds now. I've moved on to bigger things. You should too." His words cut deeper than any knife. "You're joking, right? James, I was with you when you had nothing. I sacrificed everything for you." James exhaled, rubbing his temples. "Sarah, don't make this dramatic. I appreciate everything you did, but people grow. We can't stay stuck in the past." Tears filled Sarah's eyes. She had given him her heart, her dreams, her everything. And now, he was tossing her aside like she was nothing. The woman beside James laughed. "Baby, let's go. We have a dinner reservation." Sarah's hands trembled. She looked at James, silently begging him to say something, to tell her this was a mistake. But he didn't. He took the woman's hand, walked past Sarah, and left. That was the day Sarah's world shattered. For months, Sarah was a shadow of herself. She stopped eating, barely spoke, and cried herself to sleep every night. "I wasted 6 years on him, Grace," she sobbed one evening. "I sacrificed my dreams for him, and he threw me away like trash." Grace held her hands. "Sarah, wipe your tears. That man doesn't deserve them. If he thinks you're not good enough, prove him wrong. Become someone he regrets leaving." Those words sparked something in Sarah. She stopped crying and started fighting. She took every pain and turned it into motivation. She enrolled in business school. She took every opportunity that came her way. She built her brand from scratch. And then, fate gave her the opportunity of a lifetime. 3 years later, Sarah was no longer the broken girl James abandoned. She had transformed into a powerful businesswoman, wealthy, successful, and respected. Then one day, she received an unexpected wedding invitation. "James and Olivia cordially invite you to their wedding ceremony this Saturday." Sarah's lips curled into a smirk. It was time for payback. Sarah sat in her penthouse office, staring at the gold-embossed wedding invitation in her hands. The name James glared back at her like a cruel joke. 3 years had passed since he had walked away, leaving her shattered. 3 years since she had been humiliated and discarded. But Sarah was no longer the heartbroken girl begging for love, she was now a powerful woman. James had broken her. But she had rebuilt herself even stronger. And now, fate had given her a front-row seat to his wedding. She smiled, her fingers tracing the invitation. "Oh James, you have no idea what's coming." The wedding was set to be the event of the year, a lavish ceremony in one of the most expensive hotels in the city. The guest list included top politicians, business moguls, and celebrities. Sarah arrived in style. Dressed in a breathtaking emerald green gown, her confidence radiated through the room. The moment she stepped in, heads turned. Conversations stopped. Even the waiters stood still, mesmerized. The last time James had seen her, she was a crying, broken girl. But now? Now, she was a goddess. The whispers started immediately. "Who is that? She looks so familiar. Wait, isn't that Sarah? James' ex? My God, she's stunning." Sarah smirked as she walked gracefully, her heels clicking against the marble floor. She wasn't here for revenge. She was here to make James regret everything. James' reaction, the face of pure regret. James stood at the altar, looking like the perfect groom in his custom-made tuxedo. Beside him stood Olivia, his soon-to-be wife, beautiful, elegant, and unaware of the storm about to unfold. Then he saw her. His breath hitched. His fingers stiffened. His heart stopped. Sarah. The woman he had once abandoned. The woman he thought would never recover from his betrayal. And now, she looked more successful, more radiant than he had ever seen. His grip on Olivia's hand tightened. This can't be real. But it was. Sarah sat in the front row, right in his line of sight, crossing her legs elegantly. She met his gaze and smiled a slow, knowing smile. James swallowed hard. His throat went dry. Why was she here? And why did she look so untouchable? The ceremony began. The priest spoke. Vows were exchanged. Olivia was beaming with happiness. But James? He was distracted. His eyes kept darting back to Sarah. The way she sat. The way she smirked. The confidence in her eyes. She was tormenting him without saying a word. And then the moment came. If anyone has any reason why these two should not be joined in holy matrimony, speak now or forever hold your peace. Silence. A heavy, suffocating silence. Then Sarah stood up. Gasps echoed through the hall. Olivia frowned in confusion. James paled. Sarah took slow, deliberate steps toward the couple. Every eye was on her. "I have something to say," she announced, her voice calm but powerful. James clenched his fists. "Please, don't do this." But Sarah was just getting started. She turned to Olivia, a polite smile on her face. "Olivia, darling, congratulations on your wedding. I truly hope you know the man you're about to marry." Olivia stiffened. "What do you mean?" Sarah let out a soft chuckle. "You see, James and I have history, deep history. I was the woman who stood by him when he had nothing. I paid his rent, fed him, and even gave up my dreams for him." The crowd gasped. Olivia's eyes widened. James looked murderous. "And how did he repay me?" Sarah continued. "By leaving me for a woman with more money." A murmur spread through the guests. People exchanged looks. Olivia's parents whispered among themselves, "That's not true." James finally spoke, his voice tight with panic. "Sarah, stop this." Sarah turned to him, her expression calm. "Tell me, James, is anything I said a lie?" James' mouth opened then closed. He had no defense. The silence was deafening. Then Olivia ripped off her engagement ring. "You lied to me," she hissed at James. "You never told me about her." "Baby, please." Slap. A sharp, loud slap echoed across the hall as Olivia struck him across the face. The audience gasped. Cameras flashed. The groom had been publicly humiliated. James stood there, his entire world collapsing. Sarah stepped closer, lowering her voice just for him to hear. "Now, you know how it feels to be abandoned." James' eyes filled with regret. "Sarah, I made a mistake," he whispered. "Please." But Sarah only smiled. "Goodbye, James." With that, she turned and walked away, leaving him in ruins. Sarah had won. And this time, James was the one watching her leave. If you were in Sarah's place, what would you have done? Please leave your comments, share and click the like button for more interesting stories like this.